Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. So day after we got the halfway point on our roof, and I'm working solo, so I'm not working on the roof, which is time for my hands to recuperate and for me to kind of get a couple of other things when that lift is in the same position taken care of before we move it and work on this other side of the roof. So we've got the rest of the blue all stapled in and ready to go. And as you can see, we also have the top trim board that goes above the window installed to the halfway point. It stops about there above that window. And right now I'm working on getting the remainder of this corner knocked out. So I took my measurements and this is what I've come up with. Here's my corner board, and same as the one below it, I've got this face down the hill and then the face with the corner where these two butt together, you know, where that seam is visible facing out towards the driveway. Working on getting the flashing for the lower deck roof attachment to the wall done right now so that I can continue up with some of my corners and also continue with the, you know, the sealant on the exterior walls, these black dots. That's pretty much done over here. So next, once I've got these metal flashings taped, I can get the blue air and rain channel material put on. So this is what I ended up with. Kind of get in here and show you. This is probably part 1 of 2. So the gutter won't start until in line with that piece. I'm gonna need to get another chunk fashioned, maybe out of some Z material, that will also kick out this lower portion here. And that one's gonna go under the first sheet. So it will catch that and help dam it off into the gutter at the end. So I'll probably put that on when I put on the actual roof material. And then my one piece here wasn't long enough for coming off of the gable wall, just your end wall piece. So this is a detail that I've got here. These are bent up, and so to get these to go together nicely, I've cut just a little nub in, and then I'll just push that in until that piece is bottomed out. And that will line me up to where that corner is right over the ridge, as I've done over there. And once that's done, I gotta just get this tape going on here. I'm using the metal as a spacer, same as I did on the other side. So hopefully this is all about as it should be. One more complication though, because I'm gonna put that corner piece on, I've got to actually get my finger up in there or something and pull that material up and then slide the metal sheet here that's against the wall on this side and that side, instead of being able to slide it up from the bottom, because there'll be that wood coming out 1 inch at the end and it's going to be in the way. So this is that piece put together, just that little bitty nub. And then if I pull that up nice and tight, I'll probably put a little bit of some kind of sealant in between. We do make the strangest friends. Yeah, you leave, and it's actually a bigger gap than elsewhere. So the top of the windows is like 3/8 gap over windows and doors. And then it's because, technically speaking, you have to have a flash on the window and a flash on the board above it when you have those horizontal boards. Gotcha. So the tape acts as a head flash for the window, and it's in case something were to get behind the other thing, it needs to be able to kick out instead of just sitting there. So today we got the rest of this side's gutter up all the way to the corner, ready to come around, and obviously a lot of work to be done before we can do that on that side. Still got to get those joints in the corners for the soffit to come down into the roof decking on that little mini roof. But next time we're up on this roof, we should be able to get most of the way over to the corner, all the way over to the corner. And the gutter is it's ready. So the only thing that's left to do in here is on end of the week of this week, we should be getting our gutter guards, and then we're going to come back and we're going to install these before we come off of this side and move on to something else, so that you know, this roof, once we're in, is just ready, because that is behind me, you know, 15 feet off of this side of the house. So I just made a little oopsie on one of my window casing surrounds for the upper floor, and I'm gonna fix it the best way I have available to me, not use much material, waste much time. So what I did was I added only one side of the trim to the length of the bottom case board. And we decided to have the bottom board be underneath the vertical sides versus having the vertical sides come down and then having the bottom board go between them. So for consistency, I'm gonna convert this casing into one of the other upper windows on the other side of the house that's smaller in width, basically taking it from a 36-inch window to a 30-inch window. Already taken this side off. So the glue that I used, you can see I put it on there. It's like it just got absorbed into the board. I don't really understand because I put a nice big fat bead on it, but I took off my pocket screws, you know, my Craig pocket screws out of there, and it just popped right off. So that's exciting. Obviously never buying that particular glue again. It's supposed to be a heavy duty liquid nails glue. Did not work heavy duty. Didn't work at all, actually. I haven't tried the other side just to see if maybe it got bad connection on the one side, but this has still got pocket screws in it. So we're just gonna leave it like that. And what we're doing to fix this thing is 30 inches, so 29.5-inch wide window frame. And that's gonna be upstairs, kind of right above where we are right now on one of a couple of windows. There are 3 that are the same size. So you have your 3.5 for this trim, your 3.5 for this trim, the 29.5 in the middle, and 3/16 plus 3/16 of spacing. And that means we're gonna need a board that's gonna be here. Other than a waste of time and having to, you know, wait until the painted end dries, unless I just decide to try and handle it carefully and avoid that one single side. And I'll probably use the glue on it again, just so I can use up that tube, but I'm not buying more. Are you upset, little bird? I'm sorry, I'm working right next to your nest. I'll try and be as quiet as I can, but there is some power tools involved. Sorry. Mama bird is away, so we're just gonna take a look and see how her eggs are doing. So it didn't take more than a day being listed for us to get interest in this trailer, and we actually did sell it to the first person who contacted us. They took a couple of days to kind of get everything set up and ready to go. You know, they own a business in the local area, and I certainly understand, you know, working with banks and working around appointments and everything. But we did sell it, and we're going to be sending it out. He's going to come and grab it today. So pretty excited about that. You know, and obviously we put in all the work and did spend some money on this puppy, but I'm pretty excited because we did end up, you know, in the clear. And, you know, after the disaster that was the travel trailer, that feels pretty good. So we're getting ready for another roof day. We've got some work on this side. We're going to try and get over to the edge on this side today. And we're going to be starting out just getting some metal set up. And then I've got to get back on the roof because my escape hatch is now gone. Yesterday's progress, feeling pretty good about. We got that soffit in, kind of worked on the corner exchange up in here. And I had to buzz and fix the closest board to the wall because it wasn't going to come out quite right level relative to this run coming from that way. But that's fixed. And, you know, we've got a little bit left to do on this wall for preparations. And then the 3 windows, I have the 2 here ready to go. And then this wall is done minus the bottom boards for the lap and the trim down here, the bottom boards and the trim. But we're getting real close on at least one wall, and that's super exciting. I am very stoked. Did end up ordering leaf guards for our gutters, and they're supposed to arrive by the end of the week. So before we move to a different area, we're gonna get those put in as well. And boy, I hope that means I don't have to be up there too much. Neighbors have been doing some kind of big project down there with excavator. Not sure if it's putting in utilities or a trench for drainage or what. So up on the roof, just waiting to get myself strapped in. I can't quite get my hand down there around that almost foot tall beam, ridge beam, to be able to grab the other side of the strap. That is how we're securing ourselves off, is just using the ridge beam and strapping to that, versus, you know, putting a ton of screw holes and constantly moving the red metal piece that comes with. And, you know, I mean, we came from down there with a ladder to get onto the roof on top of that scaffold, so I'm not precisely heights averse or risk averse anyway. Casey's getting me the piece here so I can tie it off. That should be good. And then this is one of those that you have to work both sides. Not the easiest one-handed, but I think I'll get her.
Not sure.
Just like that. And that's how I'm securing myself off on the roof. Really pretty day. Supposed to get to almost 90 degrees today, and hopefully we're not up here for that much of the time. First sheet of the day coming up. Gotta shimmy myself down here to get a little bit closer on this. Just, you know, straddling the ridge beam. Ben passes it up, and I found that actually when I have my foot kind of over, that seems to be the most stable. This one's a might bit dirty, but it will wash with the first rain. That's what they say. A lot of roofers I've seen online actually use like Sprite, I think it is, to give themselves extra grip on metal roofing, which I don't know about putting soda all over my roof, so good thing I don't have to walk on the metal given how dusty it's gotten. And the rest of the sheets, the ones that have been up, I mean, they're the same way, like super dusty up here. So when I finally do actually have to walk on the roof just to get up and down, that will be very interesting. He's gonna get the right measure on the bottom, and he gets it started, secured, and I'm gonna, there we go. Yeah, once it's started like that, it's good to go. And then my next, so I'm gonna put 2 of these rubberized, you know, gasket head right in up here. At some point here, I'm gonna run out of ability to do this one-handed. Let's find out if this is the spot. Top of the stack, middle of the stack, bottom of the stack. Don't know why the bottom of the stack is worse for dust. Maybe because it was, you know, closer to the outside. They're on their sides like this is how we were storing them, the way that they've been delivered. So interesting to me, but yeah, you can really see that. Very dusty right now with all the farm activity, and you know, you look out at the horizon and I can tell. You probably can't see on the camera. There's Jefferson right there. Update on our little pasture section. Plan right now is to just kind of keep it to where it's, you know, flush with growth, to try and thicken the root system, and, you know, try and keep it that way until fall, and then allow it to fully die off if it's going to. And then hopefully that way next spring it'll come back really nice and thick. It's good enough, but I think next year is going to be better than good enough. These trees next to the house, right up until this oak tree, I was noticing, you can probably see that on this one right there, that tree, it's been topped. And so have these. All of these 3 here have been topped. And I mean, we're quite far up here. I don't know what the purpose would have been. There was a power line right there that ran kind of right through the corner of the roof, or right next to the corner of the roof, and you can see where they had been cutting the branches through that stretch, you know, right through here. And I just don't know, but it's enough of the trees that I'm curious. I'm thinking that it was done on purpose versus being part of a storm or something. You can very clearly see on that one. I'll try and get you close enough. The chainsaw mark on both of those 2. So evening time, and obviously not working on the house right now. I'm trying to decide something. So I got our lift set up here, kind of as close as I can get it without being on the deck. And I took it up, and I can't even reach the mini roof, like more than just barely. So, you know, if I go to the angles, I can't get the sides, which obviously means I can't get up to the peak from here. So I've got to figure out whether that means we're going to be trying to put 2 of the feet from the pads on that machine onto the deck to get closer, which really is essentially an engineering question. You know, can the deck hold that weight? It's a 4,000 pound machine. You're going to be putting more than half of it on the deck because, you know, your machine is counterbalanced, but you're putting yourself as far out as the counterbalance will allow before it gets to be a problem, which I would think would mean you'd be putting more like 2/3. But again, not an engineer. The first foot floor roof here is 11 feet out to the edge, and then you've got to, you know, it's a 5-foot deck, and you would still not be that close into the deck because of how large these extension pads are. I mean, I think we'd only gain at most 5 feet by reconfiguring. So I'm wondering if maybe, I mean, we had parked it like kind of right down here. If I parked it as close in as I can here, and maybe we got the lower foot kind of, you know, in to the void under the deck, and the upper foot just past the top of the deck. The only question is, when we had it set up before, and you might have seen, the tongue actually ended up hitting the road. So I've got to like maneuver this in here just right to where the tongue is more like right in here. But I think I can do that with the tractor tomorrow. So that's probably going to be what I'm going to try, because then, you know, you're essentially, you still have some room. You got to get up over, you know, which we were doing that over here just fine. We were just in the wrong spot to, you know, essentially we had to come out like this versus being able to go across like that. But it's 28-foot wide building, so you're only 14 feet from center to side, and then, you know, a foot or two for overhang. So if we can get this in really tight into that space, it should reach 20 feet horizontally, and I think we can get it. So we'll take a look at that tomorrow and see whether or not that's not the case, because I don't want to put the weight on the deck. I think it would hold with the distribution of weight off of a 3/4 ply, or like I have a 4x12 beam I could probably use, but I don't want to do that. Casey's wildflower mix that's in our passageway here between our garden and the pasture, you know, in our double deer fence, is starting to come up, and it's going to be really nice just to look out on and have a little bit of, you know, plants for the bees. Good morning. I'm out putting on some very smelly stuff on the area around our garden to try and discourage the deer from even being over here, because while the good news is they haven't gotten in the garden yet, other than when my kids left the gate up top open, but they are bedding down right next to it. Let me show you this. So you can see that depressed area of grass right there. That would be from an animal lying down here last night. And then right at the edge of our chain link fence, the first layer, that is deer dung. So they are right here, putting a lot of pressure on the grass right here. And you can actually see the grass is basically being grazed, like we had a herd of, you know, animals that cruise through here every once in a while. It's because it's deer. You can see all the blades of grass are getting cut down low, and you just have some seed heads that are coming up. I see probably 3-4 deer here every day, a couple in the morning, couple in the evening through this field. And that's actually, you know, I've concluded coming out here and looking at the grass, that's why on previous videos I've been puzzled why this is not growing in as thick as I would have thought. So again, the good news is that the fence has worked so far, so that's a plus. So if you are looking at doing deer fencing, you know, this is one way that you can keep the deer out. I think it's probably a matter of pressure, and I have been really good about coming out here and trying to scare them off every time I see them anywhere near the garden. But, you know, I'm not up at night. So, you know, that's one area of time where the fence has done its job. So all I'm doing here is I'm spraying this fence and the vegetation right around the fence line, and this stuff will last. We're not going to get any rain for months. That's just not the way it is here in Oregon anymore. And so I'm just spraying this area here, and this should stay on there for at least a couple weeks, if not months. I believe it's supposed to be up to 8 weeks for this variety, this brand. And This is stuff that's really repulsive to the deer. It's not the worst I've smelled. I smelled some pretty bad ones, you know, depending on what they put in it. You know, stuff like predator pee and all that jazz go into some of these. And so just get a nice, you know, base layer. It is a little bit windy, trying to keep it from being inside, you know, to our plants. And other than that, hopefully that does its job. And we don't see a whole lot of issues come out of this.
Thanks for watching.
Subscribe for more.
And see you next time.